We made our lists, and we checked them twice. The question is, have the movies been naughty or nice? I guess we're going to find out today here on this episode of the Flick List here. My name is Drew.
My name is Erin.
Yeah? How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty good.
Things going well? Trip go okay? Weather good?
Mm-hmm.
Things
Yep.
good?
Yep.
Things. How are things at the theater?
Busy.
Busy?
Busy.
Yeah, surprisingly
Very busy.
so?
No, not really surprisingly so. Just busier than it has been, and therefore everyone's just kind of behind the scenes.
People liking the Top Gun Maverick.
That movie's going to stay in the theater forever.
Yeah. It's nice to see,
It has
though.
been sold out since it opened.
Yeah. Oh, sold out.
Every day.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been doing very... I didn't think that was going to do as well as it did. But I think it's also kind of a sign that people are ready for something that's A, not a comic book movie, and B, not super PC. Mm-hmm. And that's where they're going to get it, so they're going to go see it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I think people just want to see Tom Cruise die on screen.
Hey, I know Charlie Sheen came up with this phrase, but there's anybody who's winning right now...
Okay.
It's Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. That dude is winning. He is. He is winning right now. Well, they wanted...
dug deep for your references. Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
I never let that one go. Between winning and Tiger Blood, I just roll with it. Winning. And he is. He's winning it. You know, they wanted to put that movie on Paramount Plus, and he said no.
Yeah. I believe
Look
it.
who the smart guy is now. But, yeah. Tom Cruise is definitely winning. But we're not going to talk about Tom Cruise today. Well, we already did. But actually, today, our subject of our flick list today is animated films, but...
Not Disney.
Not Disney. We are going to talk about non-Disney animated films. And I think, would it be fair to say that if you ask most people... Well, to think of an animated film, 8 times out of 10, it's probably going to be something from Disney.
Yep.
We'll just say whether it's the newer stuff like the Frozens or Toy Story, or even like really older stuff like Snow White or Cinderella or Bambi or movies like that. Well, we thought it'd be fun to talk about animated movies that were not Disney, that kind of deserve a little recognition, at least from us, and you might find a few, some low-hanging fruit from the tree, and others, maybe you gotta dig a little deeper to find out. So, but if you haven't watched the show before, it's pretty simple. I come up with 5 selections. Erin comes up with 5 selections, and then we talk about each pick for about 5 minutes or so, and then we go at the end, maybe talk about some honorable mentions and recap the list and some things like that. So, all right, so. Number 5, you are first to go. So what is Erin's number 5 non-Disney animated film?
My number 5 non-Disney is American Tail.
Oh.
Don Bluth.
Oh, nice. Fievel.
I
remember.
I almost went with the sequel, Fievel Goes West, but...
Oh. Well, I wouldn't fault you on that one either.
You have to go with the original there.
Okay, yeah.
You have the soundtrack is great.
James
You
Horner.
have a dark animated film that is still a really good family story. It's like everybody knows Fievel. It's as close as Disney as you can possibly get without being Disney.
Without being like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Pretty much, wouldn't you say?
Considering it's Don Bluth and it's right after he got let go of Disney. After the very much commercial failure of The Black Cauldron, which is a Disney movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you know that?
I'll have some more to say about that later. Now, this could have been, well, pretty much was a representation of like the Jewish migration to America, because his last name was Mouskowitz, was it not?
Mouskowitz. Very much so. They traveled over from the old country via boat, and they were promised that there's no cats in America. That's a lie.
So it's kind of like
lots
Mouse
of cats
in that
in
regard.
Yeah.
The Mouse graphic novel, I mean, where the cats are the Nazis and the mice are the Jewish people. So.
Mouse with the AU.
MAUS, yeah.
Yep. And it's just a really good, wholesome family tale of a family that is not together for the majority of the film, making it in the new world and learning to both like grow up and be independent, but also find themselves at the end, because they do find each other through sheer dumb luck. Seriously, find each other at the end of the movie, but just it's a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Good feel good movie.
Yeah, gets you right in the feels.
Yes.
All right, and it's produced, I think, by Steven Spielberg, is it not?
I believe so.
Yeah. It's amazing how much material has his name on it that he didn't really have anything to do with. You know, he kind of, I mean, if you look at like his actual directing credits versus his producing credits, it's like 10 to 1, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he produced a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It was produced through Amblin Entertainment, which was his company pretty much, at least before DreamWorks came around.
Yep.
Although I think they both still exist. I could be wrong.
Yep,
about
Amblin
that.
still exists.
It does.
DreamWorks still exists. They are often both credited on same movies because it's Spielberg.
Yeah.
If he's got a hand in it, he's got to put all of his companies on it.
Of course. All right. Anything else?
Tiger's the best character, which is the only good cat in America.
Yeah.
He's so
All
fun.
cats are evil except him.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes.
All right. All right. Is it my turn now?
Yes.
All right. My number 5 selection. We're gonna go outside of the country. Not only is it not Disney, but it's made in another country. Well, actually, a lot of Disney stuff now is probably made outside the country. Wouldn't you say?
That is true.
Yeah.
Gotta outsource.
Yeah, but this was specifically made in Japan with no Disney connections at all. I'd be shocked if there were. But it was made in 1995, and it's Japanimation, I think was the technical term for it, at least back then. Now it'd be called, what, anime?
Anime.
Anime. And it's called Ghost in the Shell. And it is quite a landmark film in the genre, I think. Maybe not the first. I think it definitely got the genre more noticed, or subgenre of anime noticed. I think the first big one was this movie called Akira, which came out, I think, in the late 80s, like 87, 88, somewhere in there. This wasn't until Ghost in the Shell was 95, and it's remarkable because it's, when you look at it now, the time frame where it comes out, it's almost like, pardon the pun, the perfect nexus point between Blade Runner over here and The Matrix over here. It's like right smack dab in the middle. And I say nexus, of course, because the replicants in Blade Runner were Nexus 6 model of replicants. But dumb joke. Anyway, not if you're a Blade Runner fan, but like I am. But anyway, yeah. And it's just crazy how much this has gone on to like influence so many things. But I think people don't know that because it influences things like The Matrix and some of these other films. And there's another one called Dark City that was kind of like this too. And they'll say, "Oh, that's The Matrix." Or they see The Matrix in another movie and they think, "Oh, it's influenced by The Matrix," or this, but they don't really. But maybe they don't know that Ghost in the Shell even exists because it's animated. Maybe they don't take it seriously or just don't give it any.
You find that a lot of times that just because it's an anime or the Japanese animation, that they don't take it seriously because it's animated and therefore a kids movie.
Right.
This is not a kids movie.
No, it's not.
Much like Perfect Blue is not a kids movie, and that one's animated, and that one's basically Black Swan. So.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to see how many more mature adult kind of animated things that there are nowadays. But yeah, and it has to do with, there's this police team up, or they're buddy cops, I guess, but it's not really a buddy cop movie. One of them is like almost, I'm not sure if she's almost or completely cybernetic.
Okay.
And then she has this partner, and what the ghost refers to as you can basically, and the movie, it kind of predates the internet. I suppose when it dropped, the internet was kind of becoming popular where you could use it in school and things, but I'd have to ask Al Gore, of course, because he invented the internet, of course. But hey,
that's just about as old as your winning joke.
Yeah. Older than that. I'm not gonna. Am I revealing my age here? But yeah, it isn't called the internet, but you can actually exist in another body and have yourself put into like another form, like this. I forget her name, but the cyborg girl, her ghost was put into this body, so she's almost completely cybernetic because her organic self is, I don't know, she just didn't like it or died or whatever. But you can do that, and you can travel basically through this virtual highway reality by having these things stuck in the back of your neck, which was totally taken from this and put in the Matrix movies. Yes, yeah, and they're trying to find this guy or person or thing called the Puppet Master, which is trying to manipulate a lot of different things, but that's maybe the one small quibble I would have with this is that the villain is actually called the Puppet Master, because I know I've heard of other villains called Puppet Masters.
Puppet Master?
Yeah. Well, there's the Donald Sutherland movie called The Puppet Masters. I think was from the 90s.
There's an entire horror franchise called Puppet Master.
Is there? Okay. And
there's like 6 of them.
I know there was a Fantastic Four villain who's called the Puppet Master. There's a old-timey horror movie called Attack of the Puppet People. And, of course, not to forget the classic thrash metal album by Metallica, Master of Puppets. So, yeah. I wish they would have had a different name for that guy. But anyway, yeah. And it's interesting because I think the movie's supposed to take place in 2029. Oh. And we're slowly creeping up on that. Yeah, we're almost there. And interesting also because Blade Runner took place in 2019. So, and you could almost make an argument now. I don't think it was quite as hot button back then, but certainly now, if people watch this, you can make an argument this is for like a LGBT kind of movie about changing your body, gender swapping or whatever you want to call it, trans. That this is making a comment on that also. So, yeah, real great movie, and it's a combination of traditional and CGI animation. So nice. It's very, very pretty and just very good, and a lot of good popcorn. So there's gunfights and things like that. So there's a little bit of everything in this movie, and like what good science fiction should do, which is something that the writers of Star Trek Discovery have forgotten how to do. So, yeah, let's just show clips of the January 6th thing at another culture, and they'll figure it out. So, yeah, I don't like it either. But yeah, that's Ghost in the Shell. That's my number 5.
Nice.
Oh, now for Erin's number 4 selection.
My number 4 selection is also an anime.
Really?
Yes.
What possible anime could this be?
My number 4 is Princess Mononoke.
Mononoke.
It's from Studio Ghibli, which I guess now technically kind of falls under the banner of Disney, but it didn't at that point in time.
Now, when did this come out?
We just had the 25th anniversary play, so
that would
97?
be 98.
98?
I think, yeah.
98 would be next year.
You sure? I don't know. I'm not good at doing math in my...
5, it's 2 this year, 5 would be 7.
Okay.
I know my 5s and 0s, and that's it.
Okay. I'll believe you, because I'm terrible at doing math in my head.
So 97. And it is all about environment and being... sorry, my brain stopped. It is all about just making sure that you are responsible with your environment and making sure you don't take too much. And it has some climate change things going on in it. And basically, this group of people are taking too much. They're mining too much. They're building too much. And the forest gods and the forest spirits are upset at this. And they have this kind of ick growing.
Ick?
Yeah, it's this weird black ooze thing that corrupts the forest guardians. And this ick comes from as a byproduct from all of the mining and all of the industrialism, and it is destroying the forest gods. And there is one person that is on the side of the forest, and that's Princess Mononoke, and she almost single-handedly, she has some help along the way, but she almost single-handedly stops. Just like, stop, you're ruining the planet, type of thing. It's not entirely a happy ending at the end, but for the most part, it is. It kind of returns to a balance. But in 97, in an animation, talking about how industrialism is bad. But it's quite a movie to watch.
So what you're saying is that all the world leaders who go to G4 every year should watch this film?
I don't think the world leaders go to G4.
No?
G5?
It's G something.
G7?
Is it not? Isn't that where they do the climate accord thing? I think.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's other
G4 is a channel on TV that talks about games.
Oh. I don't think they existed anymore.
They came back.
They came back?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. If anything surprises you, it's that G4 is a thing and exists again.
Wow. I thought that bit the dust a long time ago. But then this movie, now this had, of course, Japanese actors doing the voices, but when this got an American release, they actually used some pretty big names to do the American version, because usually they I shouldn't say farm out, but they just have specific.
There are specific people that do
like
dubbing
the translation and the dubbing, but they actually got Hollywood people to do the acting for this. I forget who they were though.
Princess Mononoke is played by Claire Danes.
Okay. Yep.
The male lead, whose name I am forgetting, I want to call him Atasha, but that's probably not right. The prince guy, there's a prince, is Billy Crudup.
Yeah, okay.
The villain is Gillian Anderson.
Interesting.
I know that Martin Short is a person in this.
A person?
A person.
Not just an actor, a person.
Yes.
Okay.
He does a voice in this movie.
Is he concerned with only murders in the building?
No.
No? Oh.
No. I believe he's the comic relief. I know.
Hard
Go
to
figure.
believe.
Go figure. But yeah, there's
I'm so excited, I must say.
For 97, there's some big names in there.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 pick. Well, if you thought the adult or Ghost of the Shell was adult, this kind of, I think this might have been like one of the first animated adult films that was anywhere close to any mainstream viewing. It's a little film that was actually animated in Canada back in 1980-81. It's called Heavy Metal. And it was based upon, in the 70s, there was an adult animated magazine, I think made in Europe, called Heavy Metal, which is featured a lot of talented people, some of whom ended up working later for Marvel and DC Comics, like Bernie Wrightson, who was kind of famous for, I think, working on Swamp Thing with Alan Moore in the 80s, and another fantasy artist named Mike Ploog, who also worked for Heavy Metal. And I believe Bernie Wrightson worked on the movie, too, and the opening sketch was written by Dan O'Bannon of Alien fame, who also went on to direct Return of the Living Dead and work on some other projects as well. Life Force, Toby Hooper's Life Force is another one. But yeah, this was quite a breakthrough film. It was released by Columbia Pictures, and it was produced by Ivan Reitman, who was coming off of Stripes. Actually, Stripes might have been released around the same time as this.
Okay.
And had been a producer on Animal House. So science fiction, not just science fiction, but animation in science fiction was really kind of a new thing, especially for someone like him. He didn't direct the film. It's credited to someone named Gerald Potterton, who I don't know what other credits he has that I didn't really check out.
That definitely sounds like a real name.
Yeah, well, of course it does. And there's a lot of voice talent in the movie. You can tell because Ivan Reitman knew and worked with a lot of these people, like John Candy, Eugene Levy was in the movie, Harold Ramis, who was just off of not only in Stripes, but had just directed Caddyshack. And they had a voiceover guy, well, he was actually an actor in his own right, by the name of Percy Rodriguez, who was the voice of the Lochnar. He was from between like 1970 and about 1990 or so, he was a very big movie trailer voice artist.
Okay.
You know, there you have like what's his name? Don LaFontaine, who was like the in the world guy. And then you had Percy Rodriguez.
Oh.
Yeah. He was kind of famous. He did the trailer for Jaws. He's like, says if God created the devil and gave him Jaws. That's Percy Rodriguez.
Okay.
But he did the voice of basically evil or the Lochnar in this movie.
Okay.
And it's an anthology film, and as much as I like this movie, the animation goes everywhere between amazing and clunky at times. And it certainly looks dated now, but the combination, like Ghost in the Shell was like a combination of traditional animation and CG. This was like traditional animation and almost like live action stuff, and it looked pretty cool. But when they did like it looked a little bit like a kung fu movie sometimes, with the lips and the dialogue sometimes don't really seem to match real well. Of course, this is before you had things like motion capture and that kind of stuff. But then the different stories, and I will admit that it's not the most mature movie, and I'm not saying
I'm sitting over here going, so is there actually a plot? Because nobody watches heavy metal for the plot.
Heavy Metal is a movie that I really like.
Wasn't there also a sequel?
There was, but that one doesn't exist.
Okay, that one doesn't exist.
No, but it's not an overly serious movie, but it's... I think the best way to sum it up is that it kind of appeals to one's juvenile tendencies.
It was parodied on South Park.
And it was, well, I was getting to that.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
But there's like, what happens is there's this... This guy returns from outer space with an artifact, and he's going to show it off to his daughter. It's like, hey, look at this thing I brought back from outer space. And he opens it up, and instantly it melts him. And it starts talking to the girl and says...
Yeah,
or dissolves, or... It's a cool-looking effect, whatever it is. And he says, I am the Lochnar, I am all evil, and I've chosen you to convert into blah, 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 because you're pure, and all this other nonsense.
Okay.
And you kind of see where this Lochnar comes from through all these different stories in the anthology. 'Cause that's the one thing that links all the stories together is this Lochnar thing. And you have everything from like, John Candy being a skinny high school nerd to like being transported to another world where he's basically Arnold Schwarzenegger and gets to live out a Conan the Barbarian type fantasy.
Yeah.
Where he gets the girl and does things with the girl, and plot and because movie, and to like aliens who go on a giant narcotics binge and have trouble flying their ship into a docking port, and it's great because they go to get this. They're floating above the Pentagon, which is like supposed to be the most secure building in the world, and you have this UFO that no one notices this far away with a huge smiley face on it. And takes that little Lochnar thing and just flies out.
Oh my god!
Because movie.
Because movie.
Yeah, and I
exactly.
Yeah, And yes, this movie was parodied on South Park, where the kids in town get caught huffing cat urine, and they see heavy metal.
Heavy metal stuff.
Yeah, and they use the same music, and the animation actually probably is a little better than in the actual movie. But yeah, it's just a fun romp. And this was something, it was hard to watch for a long time until it got released on video, because it came out in 81, but then it would pop up periodically on, this used to be a thing before you could stream anything or even rent a lot of these things. You had to go to these things called midnight movies at movie theaters. Like the Rocky Horror Picture Show was a big midnight movie.
Oh, yeah.
People would, for years, I mean, it came out in the 70s, but for years people would go to these, and heavy metal was one of those midnight movies where the only place you could go see it was at midnight at a theater. So yeah, made the midnight movie circuit for a long time. But yeah, that's heavy metal.
Nice.
All right, are we on the threes now?
Threes.
All right, Erin's number 3 selection.
Number 3, I have The Road to El Dorado.
Ah, now this is, correct me if I'm mistaken, but El Dorado is the lost city of gold?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So The Road to El Dorado, or What Happens When You Leave a Bard and a Rogue Alone. I have D&G jokes, and that's all I have. Is it's the story of 2 guys who mistakenly get shipped over to the New World and then pretend to be gods, because of course you do when you are when you find the lost city of gold before the conquistadors get there and destroy everything.
Yeah. Absolute power corrupts absolute.
And the 2 main characters are Kenneth Branagh and Kevin Kline. And that's really, like, just make more movies with those 2 people bouncing off each other.
Now, when's the last time Kevin Kline was in a movie?
I honestly cannot tell you.
Because Kenneth Branagh, lately he's been doing the Agatha Christie, the Poirot movies, like the Murder of the Orient Express, and now the Nile movie.
Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile, and he's probably going to do more.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
Now that they've cracked that open, that was stuff you used to just see on PBS once in a while, but now I can see he's going to be at least a couple more of those things.
He stopped doing Shakespeare and is now doing Agatha Christie. And his own movies.
Yeah.
But mainly Agatha Christie.
Yeah. And he did the Dunkirk movie a couple years ago. Christopher Nolan was in. Yeah, he was in that.
No, Christopher Nolan directed the Dunkirk movie. Kenneth Branagh was. Oh yeah, he was in it. He didn't direct it. He was Sorry,
in it. Yeah.
I immediately was thinking of other things he directed, because he also directed Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express, and he directed Belfast. So I've
That's got to be a tough
different
thing to direct
different
and be in the movie.
I know.
Yeah.
He likes to do it because he's crazy.
Yeah, when you achieve a certain level of stardom, you want to do other things. And
Well, of course, he's been doing that for a while, though, because all of his Shakespeare movies, he's in all of those as well.
Is Kenneth Branagh winning?
Waiting? No, but he got real close to the Oscars.
Yeah.
I voted for him. Nobody else did. Anyways, Road to El Dorado is a DreamWorks picture, and not Disney, DreamWorks, though it kind of has Disney vibes. But it is a DreamWorks movie, and its entire soundtrack is done by Elton John, and that right there adds a little credence to your movie. And this was right after he did Lion King.
So you can feel the love tonight.
Yeah.
That was for Lion King, wasn't it?
Yes.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Yes, it was. And this is a really good movie. I have this all the movies on my list are movies that I just really like. Like, these are my favorite movies, my favorite animated movies. These are them.
These are it.
These are it.
All right. That all?
I think so.
Any other trinkets, nuggets, trivial things?
It's also a very LGBT-friendly movie.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Excellent. Well, then I guess direct me for the number 3 choice. My number 3 choice is kind of an ecological film, presented a little differently probably than Princess Mononoke, but it's called Watership Down. And
Stuff of nightmares.
Oh yeah. It's was made entirely in England released in 1978. And it has little or no Hollywood connection at all, except maybe through the actual actors. The biggest name in it. Well, there's a lot of they're all British stage repertory actors who do all the voices in the movie. The biggest of whom is probably John Hurt, who oddly enough would get hurt a year or so later when he had an alien popping out of his abdomen in Alien. But there's some other, there's like Ralph Richardson's in the movie, and Denham Elliott is a voice in the movie also, and people probably know him best as Indiana Jones' buddy Marcus from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think he was in Last Crusade also, but he does a voice in the movie. But yeah, there isn't a lot of Hollywood connections here at all. It's all animated in England, and there's some ecological and I think even like World War II influence, because at the age of the actors who were in the movie at the time, you can kind of see that they were old enough to remember or experience what World War II was like, because well, getting into the movie, it's about a group of rabbits.
Yes. And
rabbits live in these things called warrens where they have tunnels and hutches and things. Well, it turns out that there's this development company, or they're going to build housing or something like that, and the warren's going to be basically eliminated, and they're basically, well, not all that different from Fievel. They have to find a new home.
Yep.
So they have to set out, and they don't want to go because this is where they lived all their lives, but they find out they have to go venture forth.
Pushed out anyway, so
they're going to get pushed out, so they got to go find a new home, and then on their journey they make a friend with a giant bird who is kind of goofy and helps them. He's a little resistant at first, but he kind of helps them find their way to a new place to live. And then they come across another group of another warren, but when I say World War II, this is almost kind of like run like an internment camp type of warren, where there's like the big dude who's in charge, and he almost has a Percy Rodriguez like voice like this.
Right.
But he has like lieutenants who watch. He has people who guard things. I'm like, what's up with all this police crap? So that's kind of where and a lot of the people who are in this warren are marked by like their ear, or they get a scratch on them, so they have it's to signify rank or something like that. So you can see a lot of the World War II influence, and then the ecological, of course, is like with the getting rid, digging in this housing settlement. And there's a line from John Hurt in the movie as Fiver. That's the character's name, Fiver. Fiver and Hazel?
Sounds right.
I think it's Hazel. I forget now, but he says, mankind will never stop until he uses all of the earth, or something like that. And it's just quite a mature film, and I don't think it's rated. Is it rated G? I don't think it is. I don't think it has a rating.
Ooh, I don't know.
Maybe it is now, but there are definitely things in there that if you took like a 5-year-old to see it, you'd be kind of like, because there is some fight scenes where there's blood and people get mangled or get their neck caught in like some wire or something, and it's a intense film, but very good film. I think it's, I probably wouldn't take a real young kid to see it, but a little older grade school, I think it's pretty good, and it's good themes, and the animation I think is really good. And I know they did there is I guess Netflix remade this a couple years ago. I have not seen that version, by the way.
No.
But maybe it's good. I don't know. I like this one. That's just me. But
I think if I remember correctly, this is like one of Britain's required reading because
it was
it's like
based on a book.
very much English. It is very English, and
one other thing I forgot to
very
mention.
fiercely loyal with this thing.
Yeah, when they're on their way to their new, figure out where they're home, they kind of figure out that their traveling caravan is a bit of a sausage party. So they try to get into several times, go to this farm where there's like caged lady rabbits, and they try to get them to join them, and it takes, they have to get past a dog and a cat, but otherwise, it's very good. The Criterion Collection released this on Blu-ray, so
Nice.
Must be pretty big, fairly significant if they made a release of it. So Watership Down, go check it out. Very good movie.
Very good movie.
All right, we're up to the twos. Yeah, the terrible twos.
Well, continuing on an
Or the
ecological
okay
thing.
Yeah.
My number 2 movie is Fern Gully, The Last
Fern Gully.
Rainforest.
I'm sensing a theme developing here.
I really only have the 2.
Well,
I'll go with yours.
Well,
Yes.
I'm going to elaborate more on that theme
You're
probably
just-
later, but yeah.
What can I say? A lot of good movies that are not Disney. A lot of good animated movies that are not Disney.
Yeah. This was a
have important
Fox
themes.
production?
Yes.
When they were still called that.
Yes.
Now I believe it's 20th Century
I think it's just 20th
Pictures or
Century.
Studios? 20th Century Pictures?
Yeah. Pictures sounds right.
They took the Fox out, and they put in, I think, Pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. But Fern Gully is the story of the last rainforest. It's about a bunch of fairies that live in a rainforest that are there to protect the living creatures in there, and a bunch of woodcutters come in and start clearing it out because that's apparently what you do in a rainforest, but don't cut down the rainforest. Don't cut down the rainforest.
So this will be the second movie in both of our lists to have affiliated with the South Park episode.
Do you have a South Park episode on Fern Gully?
Not on Fern Gully specifically, but there is one, I think, in season 3 that's called Rainforest.
Oh yeah. The best part of this movie, and really the only reason anybody watches this movie anymore, is for Hexus, the evil tree sludge smoke monster played by Tim Curry.
Wait. Say that again.
Hexus?
No. What you said?
The evil tree sludge smoke monster.
Evil tree sludge smoke monster. That's a mouthful. Wow.
Named Hexus. And his
This is Tim
song,
Curry?
This Tim Curry, and he has the best song in the whole movie, and that says a lot because Robin Williams is also in this movie and has a song in which he raps.
I've heard him do that before in
Yeah.
other movies, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I won't fault Batty's rap. It's great. But Toxic Love, best song in the movie. And the fairies have to team up with at least one of the people that is cutting down trees to stop hexes from destroying the rainforest.
Okay.
And Crystal learns how to become a real good fairy.
Okay.
And it also has a bunch of names besides Tim Curry and Robin Williams. Christian Slater's in this movie. And Crystal is played by an actress whose name I am forgetting, but she played Daisy in the Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, dear. No, you're referring to the...
The live-action Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, dear. Oh, my.
I unabashedly like that movie, okay? So... I know.
She unabashedly
I
likes
like the movie. I know that it is stupid. I like it anyways. Kind of the same with Fern Gully. I know it's a stupid movie. I like it anyway.
No, it's
Oh,
not
Tone
that bad,
Loco
is
is
it?
also in this movie.
Say that again?
Tone Loc.
Oh, Dorado.
Tone Loc.
That Tone there.
Tone Loc.
So you got Percy Rodriguez down here. Then you got Tone Loc up
Tell
here.
him out.
Yep. You're still on number 2?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. My number 2 film is kind of or at least it was kind of quietly released back in the day. This was in 1999. It's called The Iron Giant, which for a long time I never paid attention to who made it. I thought it was a Disney film, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's a Warner Brothers film. And it was, it didn't get a lot of fanfare when it came out. I don't know why. I think it just got kind of swallowed up by other films, because that was, of course, when The Phantom Menace was released, and I think The Matrix came out in '99, so it was kind of sandwiched in between all these other films, which is a shame because it looks amazing. I mean, it's well animated. It's directed by Brad Bird. And he kind of got his start on The Simpsons as a director.
Then went on to do The Incredibles.
And he did do The Incredibles, which oddly enough was...
He transitioned into Disney.
Which was basically a Fantastic Four film, which is kind of funny because, A, it was a better Fantastic Four film than the actual Fantastic Four movies, and D, that Disney actually ended up owning Marvel later on so they could make their own Fantastic Four movie, which is probably coming in another year or two. I forget when it's supposed to do that, but it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Because the last couple have not been very good. But anyway, The Iron Giant. It takes place in the late 50s, and it's kind of surrounded by all this Cold War, anti-communist paranoia thing. Well, it starts out with the Iron Giant, which is a alien which basically crashes into the Earth like a UFO, and it goes by Sputnik. You can see Sputnik kind of going around the Earth, and this kid, it's kind of like a Cold War ET sort of.
Yep. I would agree with that statement.
And you can see a lot. There's so much of this Cold War world that they're in, because in the school they're watching those stupid duck and cover video with the, hey, if a bomb comes, hide under your desk.
Yeah.
But yeah, this kid, befriends this giant robot basically, and he tries to walk away, and he just kind of follows him. He's like, no, you have to stay here, and all this other kind of thing. And then, and eventually he gets a buddy who hangs out at his mother is a single mom, and there's this guy who comes into her diner. She's a waitress, and he runs the local junkyard, so he kind of gets him to kind of blend into the local junkyard, so he doesn't quite get seen as much, even though he strays out and has to go look. He's curious. He wants to see what's going on. You guys got to check. You got to peruse and check out the territory.
It's a new place.
Yeah, it's a new place.
Got to find new things.
Yeah, and probably one of the best parts of it is when he goes swimming at the swimming hole, and the robot jumps in the swimming hole, and like 3/4 of the lake is gone. And he's just sitting in there, and like you just see how much of it he got rid of. He just cannonballs right into the lake. And his buddy, who was like reading the newspaper like on the beach or whatever, gets knocked backwards into the road, and he's just sitting there with the paper. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's just sitting there, and you see like the water come by the road, and the fish are like, you can see the fish going by. And he's in such shock. He's sitting there holding his paper on the road because he got knocked back into the middle of the road. A hog farmer comes by with a bunch of pigs in the back. He says, "You know you're in the middle of the road?" "Yep." "All right then." And he just keeps driving. Now, like, do you want some help? Okay. He just drives on by. Yeah. And of course, like, they think that the CIA guy who comes from Washington, who's played by Christopher McDonald, or he does the voice of the CIA agent. He was the bad guy in Happy Gilmore. Was it Shooter McGavin? Same guy. And he kind of figures out where this guy is, or the robot is, and of course he thinks it's communists are using this to infiltrate our country and blah 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 and all that kind of thing. And they actually do get him when they irritate him off, like this automatic defense system kicks in, which you don't see till later in the movie, where all these like lasers and bombs and stuff and this giant computer thing come out of him, and I think like the kid and his family are surprised, like, whoa, I didn't know he could do that. And then he has to convince him that like you are not these things, and he has to kind of get him to override his programming a little bit, and eventually he ends up inadvertently triggers a bomb coming towards his town, and he ends up kind of sort of saving the day.
Yeah.
I guess. So anyway, if you've never seen it, it's a really neat movie called The Iron Giant, and check it out. Yeah, and it's kind of gotten a bigger following as the years have gone on with animation buffs and things like that. So, and the kid's name is Hogarth, by the way. Hogarth.
You mentioned the biggest name in this movie.
Voice-wise?
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston?
No. The Iron Giant.
Oh, Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Well,
he's.
This was his basically his audition to play Groot, was it not?
Basically, yeah.
Only he has more.
He's got more. Strangely, has more lines.
With Guardians of the Galaxy, he basically has to say I am Groot 10 different ways, whereas this he has actually different lines.
Still, Vin Diesel is the Iron Giant.
You think he's a bigger name than Jennifer Aniston?
Depends on this thing. I would say for the Iron Giant, yes.
Okay. He's the Percy Rodriguez of this movie.
Yes, exactly.
Or should I say...
Okay, everybody's got to have a deep voice guy.
He is the Percy Rodriguez of this movie. Anyway, yeah, that's my number 2. Okay, we are on to the ones.
Woo.
So, what is Erin's number 1 non-Disney animated film?
Well, surprising, probably absolutely nobody that knows me, my number 1
it's not going to surprise
non-Disney animated movie is The Last Unicorn.
Last Unicorn. Another British
merchandise.
Film. Yeah, she is wearing the merchandise.
Merchandise.
Did you buy that from a website?
Yeah.
Which one? Redbubble?
Shirt Punch.
Shirt Punch.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. Now, much like Watership Down, this was also made in England. Was it not?
This is actually a pre-Ghibli movie.
Jibber jabber what?
So most of the animators on this movie went on to go into Studio Ghibli.
Oh, okay, to make the Mononoke.
Yeah, to make all those movies. So if you're watching this movie and you're like, that seems a little bit anime, you're not wrong. So the animations itself was mostly from people from pre-Studio Ghibli. The direction and all that is a lot of English, British people, and a little bit. The novel it is based on is by Peter S. Beagle, who is American. He doesn't really like this movie a lot.
Now, why is that?
They took some liberties in the story.
That's kind of standard, though, isn't it?
That is standard. They took some liberties, and, like, I get it, but, like, I love this movie. It's got one of the best soundtracks that I know of.
By America.
The entire soundtrack is by America.
In case you're wondering, no, the song A Horse with No Name is not on it.
No.
Because that's probably America's most famous song.
I would say that it's up there.
But it's not, in a movie about a horse, it's not in the soundtrack.
It is not about a horse. It is about a unicorn.
Well, unicorns
they are different.
Oh, okay.
You watch the movie, you know they are different.
All right.
There's a whole plot point in that.
What if they did a special version of this for the movie and called it a unicorn?
They didn't have to. They did the song "The Last Unicorn."
Yep, that's right.
The best title song in a movie. I love everything about this movie.
Yeah.
No one can tell me different.
Oh, I forgot to mention the only American thing probably about Watership Down is that it had a music from Art Garfunkel in it.
Nice.
It did. The original, not the Netflix version. I don't know. Maybe I'll get around.
I thought you meant the original Art Garfunkel. I was like, there's a second. I kid.
Well, you know, with cloning technology these days,
There's that group, Garfunkel and Oates.
that's true.
They're funny. Anyway, Last Unicorn.
Yeah. Quite a
It's
cast.
Quite
Voice
a cast.
Jeff Bridges?
Jeff Bridges in the least important role.
Yeah.
Start there. Jeff Bridges. You have Christopher Lee,
Christopher Lee.
Alan Arkin. Alda. Alan Alda? Arkin.
Alan Arkin.
Okay.
If Alan Alda was in this, I would remember it.
Okay. Mia Farrow.
Angela Lansbury?
Angela Lansbury. And I don't remember who plays Molly. And I feel bad about that.
Okay.
Renee Auberjonois
Oh, yeah.
plays the skeleton,
Odo
Odo.
from Deep Space Nine.
And there's the Red Bull.
Say that again?
The Red Bull.
The Red Bull?
The
Oh,
Red
he played
Bull.
the Red Bull, yeah.
The Red Bull.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What is
it's
the
on
Red Bull?
It's on the poster.
Sorry. Mia Farrow has the weirdest accent in this movie. It's like she's trying to put on something, you know, just otherworldly, and I get it because you're a unicorn. You are otherworldly in a sense. But it's a weird, posh American. It's I think I'm better than you, so I'm going to put on these airs, but also I'm going to try to pretend to put on an accent and not be good at it. It's me doing a British accent, basically.
All right.
I don't do accents. There's a reason for that.
No, but I can do the voice of Percy Rodriguez. See, now that I started, I'm not going to stop.
I know.
All right. Is it my time for my number one?
Sure.
Okay.
Talk about your number one.
My number one movie is, not unlike Erin's other choice, American Tail, is also a Don Bluth production. In fact, I think it's his first film. It is called The Secret of Nim.
Yay.
From 1982. I actually remember seeing this in the theater when I was a kid.
I know I have seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember any of it.
Yeah, and I remember renting it a few times.
I know it's scary.
It's, like Watership Down, it does have
And
its...
Will Wheaton's in it.
that's right, he is. I think he's the voice of the...
One of the kid mice.
Yeah. And, it's... If there's a... if Watership Down was a statement about ecology, this is kind of a statement about animal cruelty, a film, because it's... well, first of all, before the movie, this is Don Bluth, the first film by Don Bluth Studios. He had been an animator at Disney, and I think he was, if I remember correctly, I tried to do some research on him, and he was concerned about where Disney was going with animation. And it was one of those cases where, like, the same 10 guys who animated Snow White in 1940-something had been there forever, and they were kind of starting to age out, and he tried to give them advice and bring in these other people. They would listen to him, basically. And he was actually supposed to do The Black Cauldron in, like, the late 70s.
Yeah.
But it kept getting pushed off and off and off and off and off. So he finally said, well, I'm going to go make my own studio. So he did, and this is the first product of that. And in the movie, you see that starts out with a single mom, mouse. And we don't really know what happened to her husband, at least not right away. And she's raising 3 young kids, and she has like a nanny or I don't know if she's actually their aunt or if they just call her Auntie Shrew. But she's like a shrew, and she's kind of, that's what shrew does what shrew does. Yeah. And they're going to get displaced because every year they have to worry about the plow. Because the plow comes by and is going to, like, run over their house, and they end up... This is where I think it got some inspiration from The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Involving, like, crawling on a tractor and damaging it and those kind of things.
All right.
But she doesn't know what to do, and she consults this wise owl. And it's like, well, you can't go see the owl because owls eat mice and all that kind of thing. But he does, so she gets some answers. And the owl is voiced by John Carradine, who was an old school actor who's been around forever. His sons are all actors. Like his son was David was in Kung Fu. He's got another son, Keith Carradine, and a grandson, Robert Carradine, who was in Revenge of the Nerds. So it's a big acting family. But anyway, he says, you must go to the rats for help. And okay, because the rats and mice don't quite intermingle, but they figure out that, everyone seems to know who her dead husband is. Like, you're Mrs. Jonathan Brisby? Her name is Mrs. Brisby. And she's kind of like, why does everybody know who my husband is? Well, they find out that her husband helped the rats escape from this laboratory called Nim, where they experiment on animals. But it's not just rats. They have, like, rabbits and dogs, all kinds of things. And then they try to figure out what to do, and she figures out that Nim is coming back to get these rats that are living in this wherever they're living. And he says, we have to move. And then there's this big political battle. Like, no, we need to stay here because this other rat wants to, like, seize power and become the next guy. So he tries to kill off the guy who's in charge. And it's just a real entertaining, well animated movie. And there's another Empire Strikes Back moment towards the end of the movie, which I won't quite tell you about because you kind of need to see it. But it kind of involves a magical MacGuffin towards the end of the movie.
So the best types of MacGuffins.
Yes, of course. And it's just a good kids movie.
What does NIM stand for?
You know what? I don't remember.
I
always
like
Watership
think I remember
Down.
it, but then I forget.
Yeah, we're out of time, by the way.
It's called editing.
Yeah, it's called editing, but that's my number one film, Secret of Nim. So, we don't have a lot of time for special. Do you have a quick honorable mention or two?
South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. I completely forgot about it until we kept talking about South Park. I'm like,
so we have
how dare
we have all the South Park referenced a lot of these films, yet we didn't mention a South Park movie. But anyway, that's our list of non-Disney animated films. We hope you liked them, and we'll be back with another show hopefully soon. Until next time, I'm Drew.
I'm Erin.
And keep your list handy. We'll see you later.
Bye.